Here's more wrestling news for July 9th, 2022, and we're starting off this afternoon with Smackdown, and the fans have not been happy with the most recent episode of the Blue brand. It's not exactly new for fans to be unhappy with what WWE have put out, but this week's episode crossed a line that many believed WWE would never cross. During the show, Drew McIntyre was scheduled to face Sheamus in the main event, with the winner going on to face the undisputed Universal Champion at Clash at the Castle. However, that match never took place, and while WWE promising and failing to deliver a match is nothing new, it's the reasoning for this match being cancelled that has crowds up in anger. Sheamus pulled out of the match at the last minute, coughing and saying that he might have caught the old COVID, using it as an excuse to have Butch replace him. On social media, fans were infuriated that the COVID-19 pandemic was used as a punchline for a pro wrestling angle, with the line being described as incredibly distasteful. One fan called it an all-time low point for WWE, while another questioned why, in the midst of the Vince McMahon scandal, the company would give themselves more bad PR. Across the world, over 6.35 million deaths due to COVID have been reported, though the number is likely to be much higher, and over 1 million people have died of the awful disease in the US alone. The COVID-19 pandemic ended lives, rocked families, and put immense pressure on businesses, and for WWE to use the disease as a joke has not gone down well at all. Smackdown also saw an appearance by Lacey Evans, who, prior to her 2021 pregnancy, was tipped to be a huge star. It was reported that Evans was in line for a Raw Women's title run prior to her pregnancy, but upon her return, WWE gave the sassy Southern Belle a change of character. Instead of being a heel, WWE focused on her legitimate military background and tragic upbringing. Her real-life story endeared her to fans over a series of shoot-style sit-down vignettes. On last night's show, WWE decided to get rid of all that goodwill with fans by having her turn heel again, leaving Evans struggling to establish an identity with the WWE Universe. Evans is talented, there's no doubt about it, and has plenty of charisma, but she may be yet another talented, charismatic superstar WWE drops the ball with. More from SmackDown as Liv Morgan reached the pinnacle of WWE's women's division at Money in the Bank, but it's much harder to stay on top than to get there. On SmackDown, Ronda Rousey appeared to remind Morgan that they'll face off at Summerslam for the SmackDown Women's Championship in what'll be a monumental battle for the new champ. As for Rousey, she defeated Natalya last night, as the Queen of Hearts has taken credit for assisting Morgan at Money in the Bank. Natalya will face Morgan in a championship contenders match next week, and with the Rousey-Morgan match already confirmed for SummerSlam, it could be a triple threat match at the July 30th Premium Live event. Now earlier this month, Logan Paul signed a contract with WWE, bringing the massively popular YouTuber/boxer under the company's wing. Logan Paul has been advertised for the July 25th Raw, which will be the go-home show before SummerSlam and air from Madison Square Garden, but he'll be appearing for WWE earlier than that. PW Insider has learned that local advertising in Tampa, Florida is advertising Paul for the July 18th Raw. Paul is believed to have signed a 3-year contract with WWE, which will see him perform at some of the company's biggest shows, with a feud with The Miz expected to happen. After the A-lister's betrayal at WrestleMania 38, Paul has made it clear he's coming for The Miz, and that may all take place on the July 18th Raw. Logan Paul is expected to make an appearance on Raw very soon, but he's not the only big name who's making their way to the Red brand. In June, mere hours before Hell in a Cell, Cody Rhodes tore his pectoral muscle but fought through the pain to compete at that night's Premium Live event. At the time, WWE said Cody will need 9 months to recover from this injury, but that may have been a massive exaggeration. An advertisement for the August 29th Raw is promoting Rhodes for the event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Just because Cody is there doesn't guarantee he'll be wrestling, but WWE is also advertising the former AEW TNT champion in a street fight for the Atlantic City show on August 14th. WWE may have said that Cody will need 9 months, but many believe this is an exaggerated figure, and we'll have to wait and see just when exactly Rhodes returns to the ring. Last month, due to the investigation into Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis was placed on administrative leave for his alleged role in McMahon's reported activities. Laurinaitis has been replaced as head of talent relations by Bruce Pritchard over claims that he, too, had improper behavior with a WWE employee. It's been previously reported that many expect Johnny Ace to be cut from the company, but it seems losing a job could be a blessing in disguise for Laurinaitis. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that many believe Laurinaitis has a golden parachute deal in place, meaning that if he leaves or is fired, WWE will take extremely good care of him on his way out. Fightful added that they were contacted last year by a female superstar who expressed their frustration over Laurinaitis, though we should stress that this superstar did not allege that Johnny Ace had been inappropriate with her, just that he was bad for women's wrestling. One higher-up in WWE told Fightful, "Johnny Ace's ninth life is about to be lost." Laurinaitis' record with female talent has never been great, as the ex-head of talent relations infamously used to flick through a binder of modeling photos when looking for new superstars. Whether the former general manager of Raw and Smackdown loses his job or not, that remains to be seen, but it looks like WWE will be taking good care of him no matter what happens. Back to Smackdown, as this week's show saw the Maximum Male models appear in one of the worst time fillers that we have seen on WWE television in a while. Just to be clear, this week's Raw saw a man throw up in the ring as part of a hot dog eating contest, so when we say the segment with the models was an even bigger time filler, we really mean it. Perhaps the biggest victim of this angle is Max Dupree, who's a fantastic worker, as seen during his time as an Impact World Champion under the name Eli Drake. Joining NXT as LA Knight, the former world champion continued to prove how good he is, and we've been left wondering why WWE has undone all that hard work on the main roster. Sure, Dupree is giving all he can to make this angle work, but he's not a miracle worker, and instead, this fabulous performer is being wasted with his current persona. For months, Kevin Owens has been trying to prove that new superstar Ezekiel is actually Elias, but his investigation has been fruitless so far. This has been a stressful time for Owens, who is also coming off a loss to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 38, but took some time out of his schedule to relax. Owens recently made an appearance during the NHL draft and greeted Bruce Boudreau, with him being introduced as Boudreau's favorite wrestler. Boudreau asked Owens when he will be returning following his recent absence due to a minor injury, to which Owens simply said soon. It's been nearly a month since Owens' last match, where he lost to Zeke on the June 13th Raw, but hopefully he won't be out for much longer. More from Smackdown, as this week's show wasn't exactly the best, and it wasn't just what fans saw in the ring that was missing. On the show, Pat McAfee's enthusiasm was nowhere to be found, as he wasn't at Smackdown, and his role on commentary was filled by Corey Graves. While McAfee wasn't on the show, he will be at Summerslam, where he'll take on Happy Corbin, and his absence this week could have been done to sell the attack by Corbin from Money in the Bank. Whatever the case, Pat wasn't on last night's show, despite signing a new deal with WWE, but we hope to see him back for next week's episode. When Bray Wyatt was cut by WWE in July 2021, fans were shocked to see him go, given how popular his character as The Fiend had been. That shock quickly turned to anger, with many blaming Alexa Bliss for WWE's decision to release him, claiming that she had stolen Wyatt's gimmick. In a new interview with the Metro, Bliss spoke about working with Bray and how, despite what fans may believe, Wyatt had no problem with her Dark Alexa character. Before he left, he just said, "Keep it alive, keep it going." So I took that to heart and tried to keep it alive and going. If he ever did return, 100% I'd want to work with him. In that same interview, Bliss said how everyone wanted to work with Wyatt and that she felt a duty to raise to his level to work with him on screen. While Wyatt has said he will wrestle again, it's been over a year since he's competed, so who knows when, if ever, we'll see the former Universal Champion back in the ring. In late 2021, Johnny Gargano's time with NXT ended, and the first ever NXT Triple Crown Champion opted not to sign a new deal. It was reported at the time that WWE had been hoping to get him to re-sign, but as Johnny explained to Good Karma Wrestling, that wasn't meant to be. "I had this guaranteed contract with WWE I could take for a lot of money, and I would come back and I could keep doing what I'm doing. I just knew that, with a baby on the way, I didn't want to have anyone else being in control of my time because I'm really only getting one shot at this. Me and Candice only plan on having one kid." Quill Gargano, Johnny and Candice LeRae's son, was born in February 2018, and while there will be plenty more opportunities for the former NXT champion, he would never have had another shot to experience the first months of his son's life. And we're ending today with John Cena, who returned to WWE on the June 27th Raw, 20 years after his main roster debut. During the show, Cena was confronted by Theory, who has been taking shots about John for months, and while many expected a match between the two at SummerSlam, that won't be the case. Instead, Theory will have a title match against new United States champion Bobby Lashley, and not only will Cena not be facing Mr. Money in the Bank, he won't be on the show at all. That's according to The Observer, who noted this week that Big Match John isn't being advertised for any future WWE events, so is unlikely to appear at SummerSlam. Well, in theory, pardon the pun, John could make a surprise appearance at SummerSlam. The idea of WWE not promoting one of their biggest ever stars in advance seems unlikely. Cena's history at SummerSlam has seen him face stars including Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and Booker T, but Big Match John will be No Match John for this year's biggest party of the summer. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.